Good evening. I'm more inventor, and I try to harvest wind. It's free energy, very green. Unfortunately, it can't be conducted. We have to play the game. The product is by the side of radio mast. It's a vertical system and rotates slowly, even if it's hard wind. International Telecommunication Unit, Telecommunication Union Chief Pekka Tarjanne told me his law. Its standard of living is as high as the quality of telecoms allows it to rise. That means that when you have telecommunications, it has to run. No stopping is allowed. And Pekka told me that can you do something to stop the stops that exist. So I thought that maybe I can do something. 12 years I've been thinking about it and inventing. And 3 years ago I founded this company, Cypress, and we have the product. It's not so well visible. It's this one without ice. You might get some ice in the tower, but still the rotor has to rotate. So this keeps the telecommunication transmitters and receivers operating down. There is a small hut where the transmitters exist. And typically you get energy from grid, but in Finland we have the best grid in the world. We have typically 2 hours break per year altogether. But for instance in the States you have 15 breaks per day. So it's a real big question. If there are not connections, the telecom company's billing stops. So that's the way to pay the windmill. There have to be some benefits for this kind of product. It's the reliability of telecommunication connections that is important. Of course, you might have an accident or whatever, and it has to be reported immediately. But also, governments are getting harder and harder, so you are not allowed to cut the connections. In the States, it's already a system where you have to inform federal government of the breaks, and you also have to tell how or what you do not to make any other breaks. This generates energy also when there is very heavy gusts or storm. The rotors rotate very slowly, and so it's possible to allow them to run even with, let's say, 30 meters per second wind. When it's high up, 50 meters, 80 meters in this telecom tower, there is more wind, so more energy. And it's kind of free because the mast exists and you don't pay for the mill. It's noiseless. It's just because it's slow moving. And that's good for people. They are very nervous if they can hear the noise. And it's also kind of low political hazard risk when you don't have this kind of disturbing things. That's very simple in construction. And that's why it's also reliable with long service intervals. This technology is 100% Finnish. Mr. Savonius invented his vertical rotator about 100 years ago. He could not generate electric energy because electronics didn't exist, but he could, with this rotor, pump water and make some air conditioning. So supermagnet was invented by a Tampere professor. Generators, what we use, are invented by Lappeenranta professors. Frequency converter invented by Strömberg, nowadays owned by ABB. Then we have our Cypress innovations. Typically the frequency converters drive motor, but our motor drives backwards. And unfortunately these suppliers that supply frequency converters, they don't make kind of internal programs so that it would work reverse. With the car business, it's coming, but it's still very new. Our customer potential, globally, there are 1,000 GSM operators, and they have millions of masts. And for a reference, in Finland, we have 6,000 masts, and out of those, 2,000 are Cypress compatible. What means compatible? It is that this kind of radio links, they were earlier a few meters in diameter, and these masts are strong, and now they are higher frequency products, microwave links, and so there is room for more wind load that this apparatus requires. One specific thing is with these microwave links, they are like radar. They don't like reflections. So the material of this wing is not reflecting, and so even military people can accept this.
We have 1 minute left, so I propose to come to what are your proposals for investments, for investors, and what you are looking for and concluding remarks.
We also work with sun cells very well. We intend to build export to windy areas, and one area there we need specifications to have to meet the international or local specifications, so we have to make modifications for the product. Then we have to train the people and train sales. So one area would cost us 100,000, and we would like to increase 3 areas per year for maybe 3 years' time. So let's harvest wind energy. Thank you.
Thank you. Probably to give us some idea on how many of these devices are in the field and are working today?
We have about a dozen systems running by the telephone company masts, and some on top of the building.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, there would be several questions, but one question relates to ramp-up speed, and I think the audience didn't see the figures, but I have the figures here that it should be ramping up in 5 years' time to 2 million euros revenue, which sounds quite slow. Is there any ways to increase the speed?
Well, we plan that a little over a year goes before we get positive cash flow, and we have subcontractors, also parallel subcontractors to build this product, so we are not bound with the capacity. All the components are, as previous presentation, they are standard components. We have our own program, and that can be multiplied very easily.
Okay. One very quick question and quick answer.
Okay, very quick. Do you have any IP rights?
Pardon?
Immaterial rights, patents?
Yes, we have PCT patent application for 49 different things, and then we have in the States 6 wing form patents valid.
Thank you for your presentation.